Yo. You're in the mix.
The world's finest, man. DJ.
It's the Big Rich Live on the Mic radio show on YouTube. Every Wednesday and Saturday evening. And we don't miss a beat.
Oh my God. Shut the front door.
What?
We keep it real. We keep it simple. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. Big Rich here, Big Rich Live on the Mic radio show here on YouTube once again. It's the Saturday show. Happy weekend. Hope that your week was productive, safe, sound, and ended on a positive note. As you can see here, we're using a different camera, different angle. Got the banner in the background. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to keep making small modifications and changes and stuff like that to see if we can get the radio show exactly what we want it to be. But in the meantime, between time, let's get started. Welcome to the Big Rich Live radio show. This is episode 38 of a series of shows that we started last year. We're trying to get big. We're trying to keep it bigger and better than ever and trying to chop up game with the family here. Everybody should know our social media, Twitter, capital B, capital R, Live on the Mic. Instagram, Big Rich Live on the Mic, _ between each word. Email address is bigrichlivehonthemic@gmail.com, and website is www.bigrichlivehonthemic.com. Finally, our Facebook page. Join it, subscribe it, share it, join the conversation. Chop up the game is www.facebook.com/Big Rich Live on the Mic. Well, again, we're going to start with this subject. We're going to have two particular subjects. They are not going to be real pretty, but I've gotten so many emails and DMs and tweets about it. So we're going to talk about Emmet Till, a young is like the word, 14-year-old African-American boy that was brutally murdered, mutilated, shot, hung, burned, disfigured by a couple of men, white men in the South, in Mississippi, for the awesome and most important crime of allegedly whistling and grabbing a white woman. Now, Emmet Till, people who don't know Emmet Till, was a 14-year-old, like I said, a 14-year-old African-American Chicago boy who was down in Mississippi to visit his family and decided to go into town and buy some bubble gum. Some type of altercation occurred. We think we're not sure, but basically, young 21-year-old female, her name is Carol Bryant, Carol with a C, Bryant, yelled and screamed that this 14-year-old boy had grabbed her in the store and had threatened her. According to her testimony, she could not repeat the vile words that he said. Well, next night, her husband, I don't have his name here. Oh, yeah, I got it. Her husband, Roy Bryant, and his half-brother, J.W. Millam, they found this young boy and destroyed him. His body was found mutilated. His eye was gouged out. His face was mummified, if you will. That's what it looked like. And I will not put up the picture of him in the casket. I've seen a couple other shows and news items, and they put the picture that the mom had gave permission to jet in 1955 because she wanted the entire world to see what happened to her baby. The reason I'm bringing that up is a gentleman by the name of, and let me get his name correctly, of Timothy Tyson. He is the author of a new book called The Blood of Emmet Till. That was basically to cover the entire trial, which lasted a day, and deliberations didn't even last an hour. It had an all-white jury. What do you expect from Mississippi? I'm sorry, Mississippians. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It covers that whole thing. So it covers the altercation. It covers the lynching, the killing, the murdering, the torturing. It covers the trial, and it also covers later on the two gentlemen, at least one of them, Roy Bryant and his half brother, basically admitted that they were guilty. They said that they wanted to warn other blacks, so because you have the double jeopardy rule, you could, once you're acquitted, you can pretty much say, hey, look, I did it, and what you going to do about it? Because you can't retry me. The reason I bring this up is because in 2007, the author tracked down Miss Bryant, Carol Bryant. She's in an undisclosed area somewhere. And the fact of the matter is that she's still living. And in 2007, she had recanted her whole statement using her words. It says, quote, "That part is not true," talking about her testimony. That, as it says, and I'll read the excerpt, it says, "Now, 62 years later, it emerged that she fabricated her testimony about Till making physical and verbal advances. Quote, "That part's not true," Bryant told Timothy Tyson. The 4-word confession of sorts was provided. It had provided an unexpected coda for the story, who the victim has commemorated annually. It also says that she feels she did, however, express regret. Nothing the boy did could ever justify what happened to him, and she felt tender sorrow for his mother. Well, let me tell you something. Damn that. Damn that. I know a lot of people are up in arms. They're outraged. They say that she should be in prison. Very well so, but if you think about it, 62 years ago, and she was 21 there, she's like 83 years old. She's not living the best life she possibly can now anyway. So when you have that type of situation and you have that type of vitriol and stuff like that, how do you put that, or how do you punish that at 83? You just don't. What you have to do is you have to learn from it and realize the problem that we have in this country. And this is, like I said, 62 years ago. I'm 48, okay? 48. And this was 62 years ago. So, I mean, this not literally in my lifetime, but it is figuratively in my lifetime that stuff like this happens. You bring this stuff up and you still have things today going the same way. All white juries, black defendants. It's just amazing, and this goes into a broader conversation about the justice system and the fact that justice might be blind, but the people who administer it are not. Okay, so you have a situation where you have, especially in 1955, and think about it, 1955, we just in 2017 now. So it's not like 100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It's not like 200 years ago. People who want us to get over slavery and stuff like that, be like, oh, well, it was 400 years ago. It started 400 years ago. It was 150, 160 years ago. Get over it. That type of stuff. This was 62 years ago. Within a lot of people who are watching this show and listening to this show's lifetime. We have to be in a situation where we have to be like, look, things are wrong. Things are not even. We need to together come up with a system that is fair and it judges anything, any crime, any situation on its individual merits. You follow what I'm saying? So you have a situation where you have this young child, just imagine, if you will, the horror he felt when they kidnapped him from his house, drug him out there, beat him up, gouged his eyes out, mutilated him, hung him, put barbed wire around his throat. This 14 years old. Now, granted, he was, what was it, 5'4", 150 pound, little short, chubby kid, but still he was a kid. I'm 6'3", 302 pounds. I would be scared if somebody rushed up into me and woke me up out of my sleep and drugged me out to bed and I'm 48. I'm 49 and was a cop for 23 years. Imagine the horror. I talk to my daughter all the time when we talk about this type of things. And I was like, and I said this in the reparations show, if there is a God, and I believe that there is, but if there is a God and there is a judgment day, there's going to be a lot of people who think that they're good people, who think that they're Christians, who think that they are doing God's work, will have a rude awakening. Sometimes that's all you can sort of rest your head on, rest your heart on, that some way, some shape, form, or fashion, that things will be made right. You know what I'm saying? That people will be made whole and people will get their comeuppance. Because that which is ridiculous for two men, grown men, to think so little of a boy, of a child, based solely on the color of their skin. Now, this is what I will say. I'm not going to be that type of person to say, oh, well, if it was a white child, they wouldn't have beat him up. Because if you look at their testimony, they wasn't the sharpest knives in the drawer, and they damn sure wasn't the best type of people. So let's just say it was a white kid who did that, which we now find out that it didn't happen. But let's just say it was. I can see them finding the kid and kicking his ass. I can see that. I really can. I can see that. But to do what they did, no. I just don't understand how you can do that to another human being. Really, that did nothing to you. Now, if somebody comes in, rapes and kills your family, your wife, your boys, your daughter, your mother, your father, and stuff like that, I can see you having that type of anger to torture them to death. I can see that. I mean, because we are primal animals. I can see that. But I damn sure can't see somebody because your wife said, oh, well, he grabbed me and he said X, Y, Z. For you to do that, you can almost wonder if the mongrel side of them, the feral side of being a human being, took over when they was mutilating that body. We need to do better. We as a society needs to do better. It is ridiculous that we allow things to continue and to perpetuate these things throughout history. And then you have a large swath, not the majority, but you have a large swath of people who hide their head in the sand and will swear up and down that there's no problem. No, you're seeing things. Dude, take my glasses, read, look at things. These are the types of things that are happening today. When you have a video nowadays showing a cop choke using a legal chokehold on a suspect, whether you like the suspect or not. The fact of the matter is it was an illegal chokehold and he wasn't charged. You have somebody who shooting a fleeing suspect in the back and then shown to plant evidence. And you have 1, 2, or half the jury members vote to acquit. So now you have a hung jury. Now you have to start over again. You have justice system. You have a justice system where you have the enforcement arm, right? Which is what? Which is the prosecutors. You have them when it is a crime against a poor white or black and brown suspect. They attack vigorously, which they should. I'm not trying to, don't get it twisted. I am not trying to sit up here and say that anybody needs to get away with anything. No. If you do the crime, then you should do the time. And it should be in proportion to what you do. If you selling weed, I don't think that you should be in jail for the rest of your life. Okay? But the same vigor and vitriol that you are going after a suspect, a private citizen who does something wrong, you should go after a cop who does something wrong also. It's funny how society is as a whole when you have people who they have no problem at all going ham, with the judge and the prosecutor, dropping a hammer on somebody else. But when it's somebody of authority or somebody of means and somebody of wealth, they want to say, oh, well, you're overcharging, you're malicious prosecution. Give me a break. Give me a break. Do we have people who deserve to be in jail? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But I would almost, and I think I said this months ago when I said maybe half, I think more than half. And this is no scientific views that I'm just going by, the things that have happened, like Emmet Till getting killed at 14 for something that he did not do, and then you keep going on and on and on and on and on. People who do this type of stuff, right? And you come to find out that they didn't do it. It's almost weekly. We are finding people who are now being released from prison who have been in prison 10, 15, 20, 30 years to find out that they didn't do it. You follow what I'm saying? We need to get it right and stop. And this is what I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear, oh, well, yes, we have a flawed system, but it's the best system going. What the hell does that mean? That means, to me, that's an analogy. Like I go buy a car and you say, okay, well, I know all 8 cylinders don't work, but 7 cylinders work. That's better than nothing. That's bullshit. Get it right. Get it right. That's what it is. We need to get it right. And the only way things is going to change is when the masses get together and be like, look, this is how it's going to go. And stop being sheep. And stop believing every damn thing. And stop thinking that, they're just over there complaining again. Now, on the opposite end, I understand that there are certain people who think everything is racism. They play the race card all the time. And then even if they don't play the race card all the time, they go over the top with things. I mean, there's been people, I'm not going to say their names, but there's been people that said, and I'm like, really, you came to that lowest denominator, right? That's how you came to that lowest denominator. This is why credence is not given to, to proper, if you will, complaints, because everything is thrown into this bucket of racism and bigotry, white supremacy, that type of stuff like that, even though that bucket is overflowing now. That bucket is overflowing, but it's not everything. So we need to really be careful about that. And I don't know what to do about Miss Bryant. I mean, I hope that she's lived a horrible life. And what I mean by that is I hope that bothered her to the day she died. She solely was the orchestrator. Or I can't even say the orchestrator. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have used that. She was the catalyst to the orchestration of the killing and the killing of this young man and the acquittal of 2 murderers because of what she did. Now, some people on Twitter have said, well, dag, Rich, she was 21 years old. Everybody was down on her. She was a white woman in Mississippi. What do you expect? And I give some credence to that. I really do. I give some credence to that, especially the date and time, and the vitriol that was spewed out towards African Americans and stuff like that. I can understand that, but that doesn't give you carte blanche. That is not something where you'd be like, okay, well, fine, I'll just let that slide. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? There has to be consequences and repercussions. And I feel that, lastly, I'll say this. I feel that we really need to go, it should be a domino effect. You know what I'm saying? So when you have somebody who does something, right, and they are helped, okay, not only they should be convicted, you know what I'm saying, and punished, but everybody who helped them. And what I mean by this, let's just say that a winnable case, Slater, we just said that, the so-called cop who shot um, the brother in the back, right, in South Carolina, who had a hung jury. If that was something that was lost, you know, and it can be determined that and you can find out that somebody threw the case, you know what I'm saying, with some type of testimony or something like that. If you can find something like that out, then I truly, truly, truly think that that person needs to lose their license, you know, their bar license and stuff like that, you know? That's what I would think. That's just how I feel about things. But in the meantime, the between time, you know, that's our show for today. Um, Let me know in the comments below if you like this camera, if you like this format and stuff like that. If not, then we'll go back to the other camera. I actually like this. I'm gonna have to chop it up a little bit because I have the A5300 to Sony mirrorless camera, and it has a whole overheating problem. So this time I got 20 minutes out of the first one, and I just restarted it again. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So like I said, in the meantime, between time, stay woke, stay blessed, stay safe. Peace, and I'm out here.